YouTube. Good night and welcome to Mindful Life 414. I am your host Nathan Springer. Thank you for being here. It's currently 10:21, a very late start in the year 2024, the 15th of the 7th, 2024, in this beautiful Twin Island Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, the place that they say doesn't exist, but at the same time they say God lives here, so I guess that's a predicament. Welcome. Once you're on the inside, make sure you hit that like button, double tap the screen out there on TikTok. That's how you hit the like button over there on TikTok. You hit that screen, 2 quick taps, pap, pap, real quick. Get the screen double tapped. Allow those algorithms to know, hey, this is good content. This is stuff that people enjoy. We like this, Mr. Algorithm. So send the notification out to some more people. Allow people to see this more, and more people can jump in and join the discussion as we talk. Lots of stuff to talk about today. The weekend was busy. Oh, stick money, been a minute, bro. The weekend was a busy one. Busy one. The gunmen were busy both in Trinidad and apparently out in the States also. What was the number? We ended at 16, 17, 18, somewhere up there from Friday. It's ridiculous. It is genuinely ridiculous the amount of murders that happen in this island. Genuinely, scarily ridiculous. And it seems that with impunity. You look at the Kunupia hit, the triple homicide. 3 young men murdered. You look at that hit. I don't know how many of you are familiar with Kunupia at midday. I am a Centralian. I know Central. Kunupia on the main road at midday. How does one do a shooting and escape? These gangsters need to start driving Ubers and TT rideshare and these that rideshare, another bacchanal, a murdered rideshare driver, heartbreaking, father of 2. But we have to start to hire these gangsters. Good night, Quasi. We have to start to hire the gangsters to drive taxi, because these gangsters obviously know how to avoid all the traffic. How you doing a killing midday in Kunupia on the main road and escaping without police catching you? How does that happen? And let's look at this realistically. I don't think these gangsters planned this to the T like this. I don't even think they necessarily knew the guys would have been in the Pizza Hut car park specifically. However, they knew whoever they put up, however the put up happened, it happened. And they came on a moment's notice to do the job. There's no way to have previous planning on this. I don't think the 3 fellas planned on the day before their itinerary that we're going to go into Pizza Hut rituals at 11:45 p.m. We'll be exiting at 11:45 a.m. We'll be exiting at 12:05 p.m. so that these gangsters were able to properly, exactly plan this out and, draw out the specs and the time. No. This was an in the moment kind of thing, and they're able to just do this and poof, disappear. How? Somebody has to explain this to me. I drive that main road. I want to know how I could reach from Kunupia to outside Kunupia in a moment's notice, and I don't bounce up no police too. How? Anybody else here knows Kunupia and is aware of this main road, how it functions? This does not add up. It really does not. And at any given moment, there are always police vehicles on that main road. There are cameras lining the entirety of that main road. There's a police station probably within 400 meters of where that went down. How? And I mean, I'm saying how, but we are aware exactly how these things could happen. Someone could give a green light, and that's how these things happen. And they hide in plain sight very easy. So, okay, what you're theorizing is that they do this shooting. They speed off in the vehicle. They speed off in the vehicle, and then what? They jump out the vehicle and stand up on the main road and fake like it wasn't them. The gunmen were in the vehicle with the driver. They drove up, rammed the victim's vehicle, jumped out, and did the do. And you know, talking about green lights, watching this whole Trump business over in the US, you see some of that too, eh? Like, just so you know, these weird things don't only happen in Trinidad. Some 20-year-old random guy is able to climb a ladder, climb up on a roof, bear crawl across the entire roof to the front, set up, pose up, take aim, and fire. Like, bro, I ain't an American, so I guess I can't demand that answer, but and you know, people out there are saying that it was faked from the Trump side. I think people who think it's faked from Trump's side have watched way too many movies in their life. There is no way an 80-year-old man is setting up a faked assassination attempt and having the bullet go through his ear. Are y'all consuming narcotics? Are you crazy? So he hires a 20-year-old loner to do a suicide mission. Fake you're going to kill me, but you're going to fake so good you're going to fake so good that it's just going to nick my ear. And it's going to kill the people behind me. It's going to kill the people behind me. Trinidad Coffee, what rubbish are you talking about? Be gone with that rubbish. They're going to kill the people behind him and nick his ear. And that's all part of the plan. Are you people on crack? How does one do that? Where do you hire a 20-year-old sniper that good? Like, are you being for real? And this event isn't covered only by Trump fans. It's not like the news and the media disappears from these events and it's 100% controlled by Trump and his minions. The New York Times hates Donald Trump really badly. They've called him Hitler many times. And they have a picture of the bullet right before it hits him. The actual bullet in the sky. It was all AI. All right. The entire thing was AI. The entire thing. Even the dead bodies. The funerals that would be seen, those are all AI activities. Like, I mean, that battle, to me, even if you don't like the guy, that battle just doesn't make sense. How do you fake an impossible shot? Alonzo Thomas asks over there on YouTube. Exactly. Good night, Two-Ball Bumper. Good night. I don't know, Ronnie. Ask TikTok. How do you fake something like that? Listen, I wouldn't lie to you all. When I look through this thing and I follow this news, if I hated Trump, I would have said this had to be fake too. This has to be fake because this, not that it has to be fake in the way that this looks staged. No, it has to be fake in that it looks like somebody had to write the script for this thing. This is a movie. This is a movie script. If someone wrote a script about a president and he's speaking at a speech and 0.25 seconds, because you know they have this in slow motion now, 0.25 seconds before the shot, that was going to hit him in the back of his skull. And bear in mind, people would have seen him explode. People would have seen him his head and all of that graphic stuff on live TV. That was the intention. 0.25 seconds before, he happens to just turn his head to look at the big screen. And from trajectory to the head, it went trajectory to the air and nicked off the top of his hair. How do you even write that? If somebody wrote that in a script for a movie, I'd have said, nah, that is nonsense. Nah, that is nonsense, boy. In the cinema, after you see he do so, and he get the shot, and then homie gets shot, drop down on the ground, fly back up with fist pumping, balling, fight. Nah, nah, you all right? Nah, that unbelievable, man. That will never happen. Nobody can do that. How you mean the man miss and hit him in the air? A sniper bullet. These rifle shots move faster than the speed of sound. How you mean it just nicked the top of his hair? How? Wilfred Adolphus, you know some think tanks out there in the streets. Well, I don't think the Heritage Foundation could have written a better script if they wanted to. To change your community, do you think that we need some leadership skills? Yes, we do. Same when they land on the moon before everybody. Now, I've heard many of the accusations of moon landing fake and all of that. I do not think the moon landing was fake. I'll just say that. I don't have vested interest in it, like I'll fight it down to the death, but I just don't think it was. However, it would be easier to convince me the moon landing was faked than to convince me this was faked. Oh, so you are a Democrat with this Project 2025 nonsense that they keep spewing all about the place, trying their best to make it catch on. It's not catching on, sir. Sorry. Okay, just shut sound on speaker when he dipped, boom, fake blood, security shot guy behind him. But MYOFB, just by the way, there was live camera footage for the entirety of the thing. Tubal Bumpat, please relax. I speak about leaders in our country 24/7. Have you never been in my life before? Relax. How is it all captured on live camera and we don't see all of these moves happening? How is that? How does that work? Live camera is running and somehow they sprinkled them with blood. And you see, people who say these things, I think they don't understand how many of these systems run. I'm not underestimating MYOFB. Listen, here's my reason, and I like to point this out to the conspiracists. My reason I do not believe conspiracies is not that I underestimate humans' ability to want to trick others or humans' ability for treachery. Humans are unbelievably capable of evil and treachery. I don't doubt it. I just don't think that humans are very capable. And I mean capable in the full stop sense, capable at all. So if you are to tell me that the earth is flat, and all the pilots that fly around the world and go to Australia, and all of the satellite owners and satellite engineers, and all of them are in on a secret plan to hide it from us because they really just don't like the normal riffraff people. Or some of the super black people that somehow believe that every other race is in some kind of concocted plan to short circuit black people, and they hate the black people. People aren't capable of that sophisticated planning. We've seen what people are capable of planning. They don't keep secrets that well. It's not like a secret is going to be kept across the globe like that. It's not how it works. No, KCRA, they confirmed it was the bullet, not debris. Tubal, I will block you. They confirmed that it was the bullet and not debris. As I said, there's a picture from the New York Times. I thought the picture was faked when I first saw it, but it's the New York Times. They are not a Trump fan base paper. They have the picture of the bullet in the air. The teleprompters were in position after. It's just, and I understand the questions, because as I say, if I was a Trump hater, I would have been blue mad, because this looks so scripted. How you mean the man get up and pump his fist? What do you mean? What do you mean the man get up and pump his fists? That could never be staged. Thank you, KCRA. To just issue to grace his ear from that distance when timing, etc. Trump better than me. No way that is happening. I don't even know how else to explain to people that no one is going to trust a 20-year-old sniper to shoot off the top of his ear from 130 yards away. That's no one is doing that. There's no one doing that. There's not a person doing that. He seized the opportunity. He is a reality show star, you know. Yes, he did seize the opportunity. Fact. Here's the thing though. I saw someone say that it's not proof that he has courage. It's proof that he's a showman. It's a showmanship thing. Alright? Snipers don't, yes they do miss. Many times. It's a showmanship thing. Alright. But here's the thing for me. If you have just been shot, it's like, I haven't been shot before, but I've gotten into an accident, and those first few seconds and that first little moment isn't choreographed, thought out, Machiavellian behavior. That's instinctual. I do not think a small explosive attached to the air. A small a small explosive attached to the air. Okay, that sounds like a recipe to blow off your head. You threw off my train of thought there. But yes, that's instinctual. That's instinctual behavior. And if I know what you are. Yeah. If I was an American, I am not an American, so I don't have a dog in that race. But if I was an American, looking at leadership, you just looked at a man who couldn't walk down a stair and was fumbling to remember yesterday, versus a man who 2 seconds after being shot flies back up with fists pumping to encourage the crowd to fight on. And I saw someone from the crowd that was being interviewed was saying that right after he was shot, and this makes sense, the crowd would just hear gunfire, and people in the crowd saw the shooter and pointed him out. The crowd saw that, they saw the former president go down. The crowd is in confusion and mayhem there. When he rises and says, fight, 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 he just announced to the crowd that I am all right and we are continuing on. That kind of reassurance is exactly what you want from a leader. That is the kind of leadership you want from a leader. That behavior is leadership behavior. You could hate him how much you want, but look across the American political landscape and you see that he gained a lot from that. I think Trump set up his own shooting. I could have guessed you would have thought that Tubal Bumpat, because you are super pro-black, and super pro-black people are racially motivated to vote and support one side in the American election. And it's always kind of strange and pathetic to me that I see super black Trinis are somehow latently Democrat over in the United States, but when they look in Trinidad, they could see, look how the Indians is only vote for UNC. You see them Indians in Trinidad, they can't vote for no other party, you know. They vote from race. Oh, you could see it in Trini. So perceptive of you. So it's no surprise what you think Tubal Bumpat, I could guess. I could guess. It's known, the landscape. Something like black women vote for the Democrats, something like, is it 98% or something like that, in Democrat supporters? How do you mean 98% of you support one group? How? How does something like that happen? We know how. People within his own party tried to take him out. If you're talking about the fact that the 20-year-old was a registered Republican, I don't know if I'll put any weight on that, because there was literally a movement among the Democrats to register as a Republican so that they could defeat Trump in the primary. They were registering as Republicans to vote for Nikki Haley and the others in the Republican primary to get rid of Trump. So him being registered as a Republican isn't exactly saying much. But I don't doubt that his own party might try to take him out, because that's the nature of politics also. That's not an impossible thought. His own party trying to take him out isn't too far-fetched of a thing. I mean, the allegations of the previous assassination in the United States, JFK, the allegations are that his own intelligence community took him out. And the allegations for that aren't too far-fetched. It's pretty reasonable. The political landscape is a lot more exciting when Donald Trump is involved. Fact. Cannot deny that. The problem was with the Secret Service. I kind of agree. The problem was with the Secret Service. And that's why when people are talking about Trump coordinated this whole thing and he staged it and he planned it and he set it up, I think those people don't understand how many of these different organizations run. The Secret Service is not under the control of Trump. Neither is the FBI. Neither is the CIA. None of these organizations are particularly loyal to this man. The new leader of the Secret Service is pretty known not to be a supporter of that style of politics, Trump's style. So, yeah. It could really feel like they let it happen, because I just, the way you know, and they speak about the security for top level dignitaries like that, it seems far-fetched for me for a guy to get onto a building and get a sniper shot clean off on him. That just seems far-fetched. Believe, that is pro setup. Believe me, Tubal, why on earth would I believe you? What evidence have you put forward to even make a minuscule attempt to convince someone to believe you? So do you like Trump? That I don't know exactly what you mean by that question. Like him in what way? I don't know the guy personally to know if I like him like that. If I like him in terms of, would I prefer him as the American leader? Yes, I would. Because I do not want the global America. that the Democrats want. I do not want the United States involved in everyone's business like the Democrats want. I think for a foreigner, Donald Trump is actually a better leader. He is the only American president in livable memory to have never started a new war. He is the only American president in living memory to have been actively trying to pull America, had been actively trying to pull American troops out of countries. So hard was he trying that their own Pentagon was lying to him and going behind his back to do it. So just go look at the movie House of Cards, just see how American politics is exposed. It's either they let it happen or the SS isn't as advanced as Americans are led to believe. See, off topics, what is your view on the PAT workers being underpaid? Port Authority is PAT? Trump assassination attempt to turn everyone into a conspiracy theorist. Do watch The Simpsons. So you get your guidelines on global politics from The Simpsons. But bro, you ain't saying 50 concert, 50 have Trump as his backdrop now? 50 seems like a Trump fan now. Many men. You can't say he's not entertaining, eh? You can't say that. I don't know about the Port Authority stuff. CM, I don't know. I haven't read that. They're being underpaid. How? Did they negotiate a higher salary and it's not being sent or something like that? I'm not sure what's going on with the Port Authority. But yeah, I think the attempt may have actually galvanized this victory. Karim Del Peshova on YouTube says Trump is the chosen one. Wonder if it happened to Biden, if he would be aware enough to duck. Oh gosh, Jason Hawaii. Oh gosh. You're asking that question over on YouTube and you very well know the answer to that question. Uncle Bides wasn't ducking. I'm just grateful that that didn't happen to Uncle Joe. Like, let Uncle Joe go and retire now, man. Don't y'all don't harm the man, don't hurt the man. Let him go retire and sap his knee and all that good stuff. When I tell people I like Trump, they say I'm crazy, but the comparison is there. Yeah. You see, people buy anyone who asks that question and think you're crazy is someone who bought into media narratives. So anyone that tells me why Trump's so evil or Trump is the world, you're someone who bought into media narratives, because Trump isn't a stranger to anyone in the world. Trump is the the Miss Universe guy. That's who he was. Painting all his stuff gold. Everyone knew Donald Trump. He wasn't a foreign entity. Donald Trump wasn't a secret KKK member his whole life. And everybody knew that, he actually is a secret KKK member and he works against the blacks. And so that's not the legacy that Trump had. He was a New York businessman. Trump is a con man. Well, I mean, he's a businessman. So let that be what that is. I don't know if it would have escalated to that point, Alonzo, like immediately, but I think it would have been well on the way to that. It would have sent it in that direction for certain. Do you know if Trump gets into power, he is give police 100 immunity? And where did you hear this from? Like, who did you hear that from? You do understand that in the US system, Trump cannot give all police officers immunity. They have a federalized system, so they are state officers who are under the state legal system. They have state congresses, state senates that decide those things. Oh, Dr. Uma, I see. So, well, as for Dr. Umar, let's not go there. But that's wrong. That's obviously wrong. And black people weren't afraid of Donald Trump up till 2015 when they found out that, oh no, he's going against our precious Democrat Party. Our precious in what was is Django, that show us Django, where the guy hung up on Leonardo DiCaprio. Oh no, that's the American blacks and the Democrat Party. Oh no, they're going to hurt our Democrat Party. How can this happen? And all of a sudden, the guy that you knew since the 60s, the guy that was in Black Power walks all over, the guy that sponsored Jesse Jackson, the guy that was in videos with Al Sharpton, the guy that was in every other rap song, all of a sudden, suddenly, in 2016, at 70 years of age, everyone suddenly realized, this man is a KKK leader. Like, are you for real? Are you so easily swayed and convinced? Like, were you aware he was the KKK Grand Wizard before 2016? Or did someone on a TV tell you this while trying to convince the American population to vote one way or the other? Like, I remember back in, was it somewhere in the 2020 or 2016, some unwise person on Twitter, here we are, John, was talking about the US media versus Trini media, and he was like, he wished Trini media was like the US media, how they deal with Trump, and I'm like, these people are foolish. You do not want a media that's so obvious. Can you imagine? Because in Trinidad we have suspicions at best. But can you imagine if we knew TV6 is PNM station and CNC is the UNC station, and they worked, when their reporters go out in the field, everything they do is with that intent to get one or the other elected. That is insane. How am I supposed to get information? How am I supposed to know what's going on in my country? I don't want something like that. Who would want something like that? That's insane. And then you latch on to one side and ingest everything that they feed you and believe it. Why are you up, host? Why are you still up and you have the sniffles? Tell everyone good night, I'm going to bed. Exactly, that's true, Alonzo Thomas. That's very true. Very few people are Biden supporters. They are much so Trump dislikers. But to be fair also, I mean, it's accentuated in this case. It's accentuated in the... You're telling me shh? And are you talking to me? It's accentuated in this case, but that's basically all politics. Democracies, it's much easier to get somebody. Democracies, it's much easier to get somebody to vote against someone else than to get them to vote for someone. Tell the people bye-bye. Bye-bye. Good night. I'm going to sleep. Where is? Where is Daddy? What happened? What's that? That is. Daddy is? Nice. What's that? That's nice. Mm-hmm. And what's that? Daddy. Daddy bed? Very good. And what's that? Daddy mouth. Daddy mouth? You ready to go, Dodo? Say good night. Yep, Janae Kellis, that's true. But I don't think that's only America. America is the largest and the most known. But in a sense, it's Trinidad too. In Trinidad, many PNM voters are anti-UNC voters. Boy, them UNC is thief. If them come in here, we treasury dead on a boy. Boy, me and them. It's not like, but I really believe in Dr. Rowling. I think he has the vision to take this country to the next. Very few people say things like that. Many UNC voters, that has always been UNC's technique. UNC's technique is to demonize the PNM and their leader. It was marvelous to me watching this in action in Trinidad. It was marvelous. It's nearly like the Trump being a racist evil man all of a sudden kind of nonsense. Dr. Rowley was used by the partnership, the UNC, in 2010 as a paragon. He was the guy who stood up to the dictator Manning. And look, even Rowley, a man of decency, stood up to the dictator Manning. Then when Rowley ran in 2015, all of a sudden Rowley became he became the dictator after. He's the dictator now. Dictator Rowley, but how you would use the same word too? Like, really? The same word? And you know, people ran with it. Their supporters picked it up. And up till now, supporters are still all around beating their chests, bawling at Dictator Rowley. It was the same word they used for Manning too. And I mean, if you want to call Rowley something, Rowley is not dictatorial. That's not the man's tendency. Trinidad is not under dictatorial clench. That's not true. You could call him elitist. That might be something. Call him elitist. But these things require actually thinking and analyzing the issues. Yeah. I have no doubt about that, Janae Kellis. I have no doubt about that. And you'd find that in Trinidad, most of the people who are heavy supporters, not anti-voters, supporters of one party or the other, are often in the race-based camp. But you see, that's the secret of politics. That's the secret of politics. If I could get a tribe to back me, then I don't have to do good at anything. So if I'm bearded, I have a beard, and I could convince all the bearded people in the world, that I am the one who is going to look out for your interests because I have a beard too, then I don't actually have to get any policies out there or anything on that. I know all the bearded people will support me either way. I have a support base solid. What does elitist mean? Beauty Cupid asks. Elitist basically means that you have a bias towards the status quo, towards those who are wealthy, towards those who are already in power, to the elites. And you have the view that not only do you have a bias towards them, you have kind of the view that they are the ones who should run the society. Like, society should be run by the betters. You know, we up here. We understand these things better than those down there. And to be honest, Rowley may be particularly so, Dr. Rowley may be particularly so, but that's a PNM trait, as I say nearly every time. The UNC may be battling on race, but the PNM battles on class. And you listen to the PNM talk, and they always talk like that. We are the party that understands how to run this country properly. You know, we know what taxes should be on the peasants in this society. We understand the level of taxes that they should have and the amount of money that we should earn. And here's what we'll do. We'll hire you in a public service and pay you a certain amount, and we will run the key business portfolios of this country. Let's not allow too much of that import business. You all no. You're not going to just import and sell these things. No. What we need to do is develop a robust robust internal economy. So what we'll do is put heavy taxes on all those imports, except for our friends, those elites. I mean, we must allow the main producers and main suppliers to continue as they are. We must allow that. Maybe he can be elitist because he has a PhD. That's partially true. And here's the reality. Many people who are elitists are not without accreditation. Elitist doesn't mean that they're lying about their qualifications. Elitist doesn't mean that they are not indeed well-bred and of good stock. They may indeed be the prince, and the prince and his offspring would all have elite degree universities, and they would all go to Ivy League schools. But you do understand, if we have things that those in those positions are the ones who are supposed to run the country and run the society and are supposed to get extra out of it. I remember when Dr. Rowley was talking about the salaries of the parliamentarians, he said he didn't take a vow of poverty to serve the people. Pay him what he earns. And if you're of this view, you are generally diametrically opposed by the populist people. The populist people who have the view that, listen, you aren't there to be better than us. You are there because we select you to be our servant and do things on our behalf. This isn't the old world where we have a lord and ladies and our betters run the society in the monarchy and his court. No. We are republics and democracies, representative republics. So we are supposed to be representative of the people that we are representing, not elites. Brian Justice says we live in a classist society. That's true. What you have to understand is how the ones in power think. We are a resource. We generate income for TD. Jenny Kelly says elitism is taught in school, bullying based on career choice. Fact, Jenny. Fact. It is. And that's why those with PhDs are very often elitists. Because if you stayed in school from the time you were 3 years until you are 30 years, and all along they teach you that this is the way to excel in life. This is the way to reach the top. This is the way to reach the best places. When you reach that place, of course you're going to see yourself as the top. That's why the PhDs, those at the top in the academy, hate the economics. That's why those PhDs are so regularly communists. You'll see so many PhDs are communists. Why? Because I am so educated. I know how all of these things run. But look at this businessman. He's making millions and billions. How dare he? He is supposed to redistribute that to us. To be honest, I always saw people with master's degrees and PhDs came from wealthy backgrounds. They most often do. In their eyes, it have to have poor people. So even though we can help, so even though they can help, we can't. Yeah, I am not of the elitist view. I disagree with the elitist view. Now, I am not necessarily populist, where the view of the popular view of the people is the correct one, because that's also not true. I don't think either of the extremes are true. But the reality of our political system is our political system is actually supposed to be more populist than elitist. That is supposed to be our electoral system. Now, the nature of party politics and the parliament is it creates for a kind of blend of elitism versus populism. So the elites could more easily get into that realm, but they need the popular support to remain there. Jenny says, I'm an artist and business person, so imagine the treatment that STEM peers give me. Yeah, that's true. That's true. That happens. It was never so though. The society the society was always elitist. Yes, I agree. The revolutions of the 20th century, the democracy spreading all about, the toppling of monarchies all around the world, the idea of that was to remove the elitist systems. That was what that idea was. What do you think about the proportional representation systems? It makes for better deal making. It makes for better deal making, the proportional representation systems. It makes it that in order to get things done, you have to make deals with people who you may not have had to make a deal with otherwise. And I think in that case it increases the say that a wider portion of the society gets in the running of the society. So I actually think that's a good thing generally. Maybe PNM thinks their PhDs means they are above criticism because the country needs help. I agree. The country needs help. And I'd like to ask many of the PNM supporters out there, like, do you, watching what is occurring now, do you really have confidence in your party? Like, really? Are you confident that the PNM party knows what they're doing pertaining to the kind of violence that we see going on right now in our country? Ori Award was the word? Was the vibes? We end up running tonight like a Thursday. No real articles we jump into there. I saw after the murderous weekend. The murderous weekend. Who? The PNM supporters? Wait, the PNM supporters don't care that people are dropping down around them dead? Would you be asking that if you were rich? Asking what? If the PNM supporters, okay, yes. How would my wealth change what I would ask? And how do you know I'm not already rich? yeah, the leaders. But that's my wonder to the PNM supporters. Does the crime situation have no impact on your view? Trust me, I still would. Does the crime situation have no impact on your view? Like, how are you just still in full support of these people? And it seems to me like the PNM is out of ideas. The Commissioner of Police is telling us that the police stations all around the country are now on high alert. What are you telling us, Tanti? Tanti, what are you trying to tell us? You think I'm earning money here on TikTok? That's a fact. Ronnie, I have noticed that broke people have no idea what wealthy people do very often. And if you are a broke person who has no idea what wealthy people do, generally that means you are going to remain broke. So if you're broke, figure out what the wealthy people are doing. That's what you should be doing. They're not the ones running around with the guns. Who not the ones running around with the guns? If Gary was there, someone door was getting kicking today after this weekend gone. Right now, Trump is taking on TBN. I don't know if protests would work though, Janae Kellis. I'm not sure how a protest is going to work in this context in Trinidad. I really don't know. Like in terms of the shake-up, Trinidad is not carded for a shake-up. I don't know how the protest is going. What are we going to protest and do and ask for? How are we going to request this? From whom? Like, okay, let's say we could have. Do you think Trinidad and Tobago have a promising future? I think a promising future is a possibility. I think in terms of the totality of it, I don't know how hopeful I am for the entirety of the world at that, but it is a possibility. You don't have the rights to. Pretty soon the upper middle class will leave the regular communities and only live in West Moorings. Wealthy people are constantly thinking of ways to gain more wealth or how to maintain status. This government ignore protests, it don't change votes. I think Trini is too spoiled. But why should they not ignore protests? If I was the PNM government and a set of people jumping the road to protest, what I bothering with them for? Who they going to vote against? The UNC? They're going to vote for the UNC to take me out? I don't see that as being a likely possibility. Who is your protest vote going to be in Trinidad? Alright, we protest. Then what? Vote for the UNC? And then when they come in and do about what was going on 2010 to 2015, much of the same. What do we do? Protest them too? And do what? Kick them back out and bring back the PNM? The same group of people. I mean, it's not just the same name. It's not just the same name and the same organization. The people themselves are the same. First thing we need, be organized to stand up for your rights. Which rights we need to stand up for? And how do we stand up for those rights? I honestly don't think any government can deal with crime unless we as a society wants to deal. The government isn't affected by process. That's why, true, crime is too profitable. We need to show that we don't want PNM or UNC, but many are religious voters who are weak. What's the alternative? Because the nature of the political system is if we say we don't want the UNC or the PNM, we have to have an alternative. So, who is the alternative? That's always the problem. It's why we are trapped in the situation we are trapped in. It's not that nobody else thinks about these things. List service is going to despise me. If I were in charge, I just letting you know those two groups. I'll let you all know one time. Those two groups. What's going on with my internet? Are we back on? Are we back on here? Good. It looks like we're back on. You all hearing me? Good. I got a little drop off there. The issue is we have other parties to choose from, yet we ignore them. Which other party? Janae Kellis? But brother, look at the US. The sanction countries that don't let them have their way. They create a toxic environment, then blame the leaders. I don't doubt that. That's true. It's all manipulation, but I mean, it is true, but I mean, kinda all countries do that to some extent. Most countries try to push around their way to benefit their country. It's the nature of the world. I think it's a matter of who votes red and yellow. Our voting numbers plummeted. I will be 20 and I still don't wish to vote. Well, I don't blame you. There isn't much, and I always say this, the young people don't have much to that appeals to them in terms of voting. But as I said, who is the alternative? Not country, but no, not one man, but fewer people. They're business people. Think for a moment, do you feel crime can't be controlled? Yes, I do think crime can be controlled. I do think crime is controllable. I believe that. I believe that crime is controllable. And I believe that there is a political and a governmental side to why the crime situation is the way it is. And I believe also that it is ridiculous for a government to be so focused on road traffic implementation of fines while the country is being murdered. It shows me that they aren't thinking this through sensibly. Maybe is our last option. Revolutions almost never work, and that's the problem, Jenny Kellis. You see, there are much more ways for things to fail than for them to work. The idea that we're going to allow someone to violently take over the country, and suppose that a violent person who is willing to kill people to rule is going to rule the country well. That's the thing. How are you so confident that on the other side of a revolution we're going to see better? Also, the judiciary needs some improvement. Facts. Well, if you're talking about the crime situation to me has a lot to do with the police and the judiciary in combination. And obviously the government is a lot in control of how those branches run. Exactly, Kashif Campbell. There has literally, I think to my recollection, there has been one revolution that would be considered successful. Literally one revolution that would be considered successful, and that was the American Revolution. And technically their revolution was a fight for independence, so you could call it a fight for independence instead of a revolution. But most times those revolutions unleash hell on earth. Crime is part of the system, yeah, but it doesn't have to be the level it is. Police need proper tools to fight crime, G. Suki says. But here's the problem for me, G. Suki. The commissioner in an interview, was that yesterday or today, said that they are well supplied. She said that. I wonder if I could grab that article here. She said that they were well supplied. Commissioner TTPS say all police stations on hire late after 15 weekend. Let me see if I could get her exact words. That they are well. She said the police have the resources needed. She said the police have the resources needed and will be increasing its manpower. I want to think, let me pull that up on the YouTube so those over on YouTube could see exactly. I want to think we have adequate resources and we are working on increasing them. So, how are you going to tell me that the police need resources to fight crime, but the head of the police says they have adequate resources? I don't think the police need resources. I think the police need honest police and courts that will keep the criminals on the inside. That's the two things the police need in Trinidad and Tobago. Honest police. One, primarily, honest police. Lots of them are not honest police. And we are Trinis. We live among police officers. We know they are not honest police. And secondly, with that honest police is a judicial system that would actually keep the criminals in prison. That's like when they say we have a top-of-the-line healthcare system, lol, and all of them fly out. and all of them fly out for healthcare. Yeah, and I understand the police plight, because we spoke about this many times, where even if you're an honest officer, if I'm an honest officer, for me to be honest, I'm risking my life from the other crooked officers, and I'm risking my life from the gangsters, and then I'm risking my life for what? I get you locked up, I process you, I write up all of the information I have to write up, send it out to the courts, and you're out on bail in the morning, and the case going and calling 20 years. What am I doing that for? If I arrest someone last week, and next week I go back into the same community for another report, and the same person I arrested last week and sent to the courts is back out pesting the community again, what am I going to do? Arrest them again? And then they'd be out the next week, and then they'd be out the next. After some point in time, I start to feel like I'm not making any sense. So, as an officer, what are my options reasonably if I don't want to feel like I'm doing insanity, the same thing over and over, expecting a different result? What are my options? Okay, well, I go the flying squad route, and I say, okay, all pests, we'll deal with them and throw the revolver on them and say they fired first, and we return fire, keeping up with the use of force policy. That's one way of trying to deal with them. Or, why, best I take money too, because it's the man out anyhow, I might as well take some money. So I understand the plight. I understand how difficult it would be for police to work fully, honestly, under a legislative system, under a court system that allows people out quickly. I strongly believe crime is systemic and can be solved by weakening the system. Weakening which system? When you say systemic, I'm not too sure what you mean. Okay, well, how can we hold the courts accountable, seeing that we should have a separation of powers? Well, isn't that the question, Kashif? Isn't that the question? And that's why the running of a country is such a difficult and such a difficult thing. And I don't always hold it against all leaders that they aren't able to do all the things they promise, because some of those things are literally impossible. To some extent, our government is like a machine that is there and exists, and the politicians are parts in the machine that are swapped in and out, but they don't have a whole lot of control on what the entirety of the machine does. The machine is doing what it does. Blue collar crimes are caused by the desperation for money to live fair human lies, Kellis, nah, Jenny Kellis, nah, no. Poor people do not steal. Poverty does not make you lose your morals. There are many poor people that will die of starvation before they steal a single rice grain. The majority of crimes done by some of those same people you're talking about aren't crimes of desperation. Look, when they run in the Chinese grocery and rob it, do they take the bread shelf? Do they run off with all the cheese? Do they steal out the salami and bologna and sausages? Or do they go with the rum? Do they take all the Hennessy and punchin and the full top shelf with the Johnny? If they're poor and hungry and the children need to eat, the children eating Johnny Black? Trinidad isn't that kind of country. I want someone show me anyone in Trinidad that goes hungry. I challenge anyone in Trinidad to show me somebody in Trinidad that goes hungry because of lack. Show me that person. Where are they? Which community they exist in? Show me that person. Thank you, Anonymous. This is my mantra, and it has been my mantra for probably a year now. I've been saying this over and over. Poverty does not cause crime. Crime causes poverty. The reason a business cannot work in Laventil and Beetham and Sealots is not because people hate them. It's because of the criminal activity in the communities. So I really resent that. I despise that, because it sounds kind on the face of it that really and truly you understand that why these people are stealing is because they are poor, and it sounds kind. But what you are saying is that wealth increases your morality and poverty decreases it. That's not true. As heartless as it seems, there's no way to provide everyone with equal opportunities. Equal opportunities will be unfair. To give everyone equal opportunities, it will be unfair. In order to give everyone equal opportunities, you'd have to hold back some people. You do understand that? Think of the 100-meter race. Think of the 100-meter race. When Usain Bolt was blazing people, how would you have allowed the equal chance there? How would you have made it equal? No, there aren't even equal opportunities. Like, I am of the view equality of opportunity over equality of outcome. I am of that view. But even in equality of opportunity, there isn't going to be that. And that's just the way the world works. The opportunities I got were probably predominantly because of my parents and what they did. For everyone to get the same opportunities I got, they would have to have the parents I had. Exactly, Ariel. Uneven opportunities are generally a result of uneven inputs. And anyone who has done physics or chemistry or any kind of STEM subject, you understand that facts are facts. Hard reality is hard reality. If you put in more, you are supposed to get out more. And if you want to create a system where regardless of what anyone puts in, everyone gets out the same, you'll have to do some evil stuff to make that work. You'll have to do some evil stuff to make that work. It's not gonna happen. Yep, correct, HY. And I was looking at a summit, probably tomorrow we might read some of those stories. I was looking at a summit in Cipriani Labour College, and all of the unions were looking at the profits of the top companies and angry. How dare these companies make so much profit while they are poor people? That's reality. That's reality. How do you propose to undo that? If I form a group of people and we become very good at something, I like to use the planting corn example because agriculture makes it very visible. Me and a group of 10 others become extremely good at planting corn. We plant corn and we start reaping corn in the millions. Is it unfair for us to reap millions of corn if we did the input to get millions of corn? And should it be that we must now be forced to share our corn with everybody? Because how dare us have billions of corn while everybody else has none? Well, go plant your corn. Janae Keller says, I'm someone who grew up without a lot, and I think fighting crime is not as simple as they portray. Janae, here's what I think. I actually think it's the reverse of that. I think fighting crime is simpler than they try to portray. I think fighting crime is simpler than they try to portray. And I think it's in the benefit of criminals and the people who like criminals and benefit from criminals to make crime fighting seem extremely complicated. Like, what we need to do is go back to their cribs and give them a hug and a kiss and love them up and swaddle them back to bed, and that's how we undo crime. Things that are literally impossible. In the US, when they jumped up with this defund the police nonsense with the BLM crookery, Black Lives Matter crookery, and it's amazing that now I could say that and very few people would have a problem with it. But if I said that 4 years ago, people would have been like, how dare you say BLM is crooks? We found that out. You look at what they did there, and they tried to find out alternative ways to fight crime. So let's not have police, let's have social workers and community intervention. So, you know, these criminals, you have to be able to reason with them, and they need a social worker to understand their feelings. They did that, and crime skyrocketed through the roof. Like, what would you know? If you try to treat criminals with kid gloves, they aren't kids and they do crime. Now, let's juxtapose that. Compare it with El Salvador, with Nayib Bukele as their president. He did some things that got human rights people upset, but he basically said, okay, all the gangsters identify themselves with tattoos and public profiles. Let's take all of them, build a big prison, put them in it. See what happens. 40,000 person prison, lock up the criminals, murder rate from 2,500 to 50. $2,500 murders to 50. Not very complicated, you know. He had no social programs. He hired no therapists. He hired nobody's mother to talk to them. H.Y. says, I think to curb crime we need capital punishment and revised laws. I don't think capital punishment is the key. I think if you were able to catch them and keep them in prison, that would have done just as good. These boys aren't afraid of dying. So I don't think threatening them with death is going to be a big threat. Out of the 15 murders over the weekend, they said 7 were gang related. That's young men involved in a life where they know the chances are they're going to die. You think those 7 gang related deaths over the weekend cause even one gangster to change his mind about being a gangster? One. Even one. That's capital punishment. The punishment for being in a gang is very likely capital punishment within 10 years, you know. Those gangsters don't generally live long, and they know that. They live a life of that, flaunting their quick life. So I don't actually think the key is killing. He just had nothing to gain from crime, so it was easy for him to do what had to be done. Yeah, he was an outsider that just popped up. And all of his political capital would have been gained from fighting crime. So there's the benefit. We don't have someone like that in Trinidad, at least not yet. And our political, judicial, legal framework isn't like El Salvador, so it does not allow for those changes to happen, at least not that kind of simple and straightforward. Our system does not function like that. So no one can just come in and make that change on a whim. And then also, El Salvador doesn't have the Indian African problem that Trinidad and Tobago has. If violent crime is predominantly among Afro-Trinis, there's no way a prime minister or leader of Indian descent comes into power and locks up 10,000 Negroes and is left unscathed. That's not going to happen. We understand. That's no. They aren't going to do that. Crime affects innocent civilians the most. I mean, yeah, I guess. I guess. I mean, I don't know what you mean by affect, but I would think generally crime might affect the gangster the most because they're literally living a life of crime 24/7. But I mean, the innocent civilian does not want any crime in their life, so yes, I guess the effect might be worse on them. Fair enough, but it may allow to some youths to stop gravitating towards emulating that life. You know what would allow youths to stop gravitating towards emulating that life? Daddies. Instead of capital punishment, what we need are daddies. Daddies keep their sons out of gangs. We need more daddies out there. That's what it means. Daddies keep their sons away, and daddies, you need to do more of that, because those boys are dying. It's insane the rate they're dying at. Insane. And I'm in my early 30s. I don't consider myself an old man, but when I look around and like 90% of the people who are dying are younger than me, I'm like, bro, what are you doing? What are you doing? Why is your life so worthless? We have normalized broken homes. Yes, we have. And I'm glad no one says it now, but very regularly when you say things like that and you talk about the necessity of daddies and stuff, there'll be someone who says like, my mother did it and she didn't need a daddy, or I'm a single mother and I'm doing it well and I don't need a dad. And okay, maybe you are the exception, but the exception makes the rule actually. The exception proves the rule. This problem goes on as far as I can remember. Yeah, but it has definitely ramped up. The problem is a long tracing one going back, but it has ramped up. And it's understandable why. If there's a community, like if you think about it, if there's a community somewhere where there are lots of fatherless children, and fatherless children are more likely to make fatherless children, both male and female. Fatherless children are more likely to make grandchildren for their absent fathers. If you have a community where one wayward father made 3 children that never knew him, and those 3 children are more likely to do the same, by the next generation you have 3 people doing that no father family business. And how many are they going to meet? And by the 3rd generation, how many fatherless children are you going to have? How much men die every year and leave behind kids? Fact. You notice this about many of the gangsters, too many of them are fathers. They are daddies who are simply immature. True, but in almost all cases, an immature daddy is better than no daddy. I agree, Jenny. It's not an easy feat at all. I might say it's impossible. I would say it's impossible. So if someone did it, they did the impossible. That's how I'd phrase it. Makes me wonder why so many modern day ideologies attack the traditional nuclear family. Well, they are evil, and Thomas, they are straight up evil. Well, I could actually explain it beside them being evil, because I genuinely believe they are evil. But the reason that they say is because they're communists. Communists and socialists don't like the nuclear family because they believe the general idea of communism, at least in the modern we are kind context, is that the government is supposed to do good things for the people. The government has the ability to solve basically all the problems. That's the idea of communism. the government would control the distribution of resources, and enough resources is all anybody needs. The reason is the communists who come up with the idea of poverty causes crime, because the reason that you have bad things in a society is because people don't have enough resources. And how you solve that is you let the government control the resources and distribute those resources around to everyone. And if the government distributes the resources to everyone, there'd be no crime and there'd be no bad things again in the society. That's what the communists generally believe. And you see, the problem is nuclear families have a different center for where they believe their help comes from. Nuclear families, the traditional nuclear family, has a caretaker and has a provider. We don't need caretaking or provision from the government. So if you are a government seeking to get a population of people who want you and need you as their caretaker and provider, you want them out of nuclear families, obviously. And they actually say these things. These things aren't some conspiracy. This is fact. Go read what the communists talk about. That's why communists hate religion also. They hate religion because religious people believe their help comes from God. And if God helping you, then you don't need the government. So, no God in this business, no family, all you have is the state. And when all of us are in unison, working together as collectivists in this communist utopia, all the workers of the world unite, we will achieve true communism and live in perfect harmony and peace. These people are nuts. But just bear in mind, many of your union leaders in Trinidad share views like this. They latently have views like that. It sounds like the government trying to play God to me. Yes, it literally is what the government is doing. In a communist country, the government is God, by general definition of what people see God as. Communism shouldn't have left theory. No, it should not. And communism should be treated as Nazism. I don't understand how there are people out there calling themselves communists and recognized in public society, while if I called myself a Nazi, people would rightfully say I'm an evil, cruel madman. But somehow communism still stands out there, and people could still call themselves proud communists after having murdered over 100 million people in the last century. But that's what happens when many of your professors in university are communists too. Anyway, people, let's look to dive out. Wow. Let's look to dive out. Let's look to have a wrap up there. That's all I have for now. Big Dip says Trump wants to get rid of Social Security. Goodbye retirement for Grandma and Grandpa. Big Dip says Trump wants to get rid of Social Security. Goodbye retirement for Grandma and Grandpa. You see, again, things that people don't understand. This is American business. I know this because I look at too much news for my own benefit. But I believe the Social Security is carded to end in terms of its payment by 2030 something. Early 2030, is it? Somewhere around there. So, in the US, they kind of have to end it or find another way to get the money for it. And here's what's the strange thing to me. You'd have Trinis lobbying to get a president in the United States to give free education, forgive student loans, give free healthcare to Americans, to give Social Security to Americans. I am not an American, and brother. You'd have Trinis lobbying for that. Foreigners lobbying for the side that will give other Americans this. Do you know where America gets their resources? Do you know how they are as wealthy as they are? Do you know? Do you understand what the petrodollar does to the global economy? That every country around the world that wants to buy oil has to first buy US dollars. So the US just prints this money out of thin air and tells the world that actually we are in debt to our future generations. We have printed the money and borrowed it from the future. But in reality, the money is being spent in the current day. So in the current day, when they spend this money that they printed out of thin air, and the money has to be backed by resources, where do the resources to back the money come from? Because they aren't creating the resources. All they are doing is printing the dollars. Where do you think the resources come from? Us. The rest of the world. Because we have to actually produce the resources. We have to go out and provide a tourism product. We have to go out and cook, bake, and shack for you to come and spend your tourist dollars and for us to get that US dollar to buy what we have to buy. All over the world, that's the reality. And you're telling me I'm supposed to want a leader in your country that is supposed to give away more free money to US citizens? Free money that costs me? What? Why would I want... The best person for the US is the person that doesn't want to spend plenty. Because every cent they spend affects all of us. So here's what. A little we on that spending thing now. A little make no money. And you are lying to us. You are not borrowing this from your great-great-great-grandson. You are stealing it from us now. Because you aren't spending it 300 years in the future. You are spending it now. Your great-grandson isn't going to pay me back. Don't give me that Nancy story. You aren't borrowing it from the future generations. You are stealing it from current people. And I'm supposed to want an American leader to give them more nice things. No thanks. No thanks. I don't see that. But as I said, that's all I have for now, folks. I hope you're educated, informed, or entertained. I am Nathan Springer. This has been the Mindful Live Show. And I'll see you guys again for the next one, carded for tomorrow night around that 9:30 p.m. time. Until then, people, hold it on. Stay well, stay safe. Stay inside, outside.